Hi everyone. Just going to check that we are going live. Happy Sunday! And hopefully we've got another hour of lovely crafting today. Just check. Where am I? Let's just check we're actually live. I am on Facebook, yay! Okay, I'm just not sure I'm on Instagram. Just bear with me, guys. I always have a problem with Instagram. I think it's because I need to refresh. Just bear with me. I can hear you all joining me. Thank you. I'm excited today because it's number 2 of Shabby Shed. So we're going to continue what we were doing last week. Right, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this work on Insta. I don't know if we're actually in there already, I'm not sure. I'm just going to... I don't know. It should be live, but I don't think it is. Anyway, not to worry. As long as we are... Oh, we've got YouTube. Hi, Pippa. Hi, Christine. Diane, hello. So we've got some on Facebook, some on YouTube. I'm a little early today, so I always start at 5 to, just so we actually get started at 12. So how are you? How is your Sunday going so far? I can't believe how quickly this morning's gone. Oh, that's good. Oh, I'm glad you got them when you got back, Pippa. That's awesome. I hope you had a nice holiday. How nice to have a holiday and then get back and have free stash. How nice. So, yeah, if you're just joining us, enter win in the comments and I'll pick a random winner at the end to get something. No free dice. Well, maybe somebody will get free dice today. Maybe they will. In fact, I need to decide what I'm giving away, don't I? Instead of at the end, I won't keep you all hanging. Right, okay, let's see. See, I always think it's better to give you a voucher because then if I'm giving away something that you've already got, then you can still enter, can't you? So I'll do a voucher. So today the winner is going to be, I need to write it down so I don't forget. The winner is going to get a £20 voucher for the store. Chris isn't here, so I can do what I want. Okay. So, a £20 voucher for the store. So make sure you enter win. Pippa's in there dead early. Don't blame you, girl. Got to be in it to win it and all that. So, okay, I'm kind of gonna just get on with it, I think, and we'll let everyone else join us. There's too much rambling at the beginning, isn't there? Excuse me. So before I start, a little reminder. So today's show is all about live. Well, it is a show, really, isn't it? I feel like I'm doing a TV show. It's weird, just doing it on my own. So today we are going to continue the Shabby Shed. So if you remember last week, we were making. I made this, and it was kind of completely unplanned, really. But you all loved it so much. all made from scratch, and it is a card. Okay, so it's getting a bit tatty now because it's been lying around on my desk all week. Hi Chrissy, thanks for joining me. So it's part two of this because it was kind of a bit off the cuff. Took me a long time. It took me the whole entire live, an hour and a half to make this. So I'm going to continue this and we're going to finish it this week. I kind of have a little bit of a plan in my mind, but it could go anywhere, you know what I'm like. So we're going to be using the Summer Garden collection again. I've been here, I can't believe how fast this morning's gone. I was a bit late up because I had a migraine this morning. And anyway, I thought, right, I need to get all my prep out of the way and get it done because I had lots of stamping and die cutting to do, which I kind of did, but I didn't I thought, oh yeah, must have about another hour left. It's only about 10:30. And I looked at the clock and it was 11:30. And so I haven't done as much prep as I wanted, but I was literally sitting here for an hour and a bit, a good hour and it must have been about 2 hours because I started at 9:30 prepping. So 2 hours die cutting and doing a bit of stamping. So crazy, isn't it? How long things take sometimes. But I wasn't only stamping. What I do is, as I'm stamping and die cutting, I kind of bulk it. So I'll do 2 or 3 sets, and then I've already got it for next time. So that's kind of why it took me a little bit longer. But anyway, so we're going to do that. So just to start then, let me type it in here so that anyone entering. So enter win in the comments. Oops. Help if I can spell today. To win, to be in the draw. Sorry, I should have done this to start off with, shouldn't I? Okay, so that's just a little reminder for everyone. And also, I have remembered the code. So if you want to shop today, put the code LIVE15 into the website and you are going to receive a 15% discount until it's actually noon, Monday the 7th of July. Chris isn't here with me, he's busy doing orders. Gosh, we're so busy at the minute, can't catch up. Okay, so that's in there as well. So that's my housework out of the way. If you want to get a reminder for the lives, just go onto the front page of the website and there is actually a little reminder subscribe link. Yeah, time stealing goblins. Yeah, I call them mind well, no, yeah, time monkeys. I have time monkeys and I have mind monkeys. So the mind monkeys are the ones that just fill your head with fuzz, lose your mojo, and make you not do anything and procrastinate. I get them a lot. But time monkeys, yeah. Hello, Sandra. Thanks for joining us. Right, I'm going to start then. So let me switch over onto the cameras. Okay, so no delay today. We need to crack on. So yeah, if you're just joining, last week I made this lovely Shabby Shed. Okay, so this is actually a card and it kind of just appeared and transpired, didn't it, guys? But everyone loved this so much and it took us a long time, you know, kind of to show you it right from start to finish. Chrissy, yes, I did. And it'll go out tomorrow. Okay. I got them on Friday afternoon. So yeah, I did. Yeah. I think if my memory serves me rightly, if we're talking about the stamps and dies, yes, swapping the stamps for the dies. yeah, so showing everyone from start to finish. So we made this little shed with all this gorgeous detail on it. Oops, where's my camera gone? Where's the camera? There. So it looks very, very kind of distressed. And this is all just made from card and paper. But yeah, we just got this lovely, lovely effect. So it was all done with inks, cardstock, and paper. And then I've just actually attached this onto the back. Now, obviously, if I was going to send this to someone, I would actually tidy this all up. Okay, just like I say, it just kind of randomly kind of appeared. So what I want to do today is we're going to decorate it as well. And also I'm going to do the inside. So as I say, I kind of have a rough plan of what I've done. I've done lots of die cutting. I never got around to colouring everything in. Which is a bit annoying because I wanted to kind of get some of the chore stuff out of the way. But anyway, we can do as much as we can with that. You see this mark here? Does anyone have any? I don't know what this is. Okay, it's actually, I think I've actually scuffed my glass mat, and it looks like I've scuffed it and then got ink on it. I cannot get that off for the life of me, and it really bugs me because it's messed all my nice mat up. But can you hear it? Actually, I don't know how I've scuffed anything with that. I don't know what the heck I've done with it. I've tried scraping it with a knife because usually I can get like my glue off and stuff. But if anybody's got any ideas, it's like an ink. I can tell it's got ink on it. But anyway, any ideas, let me know. I've tried everything I can possibly think of. Okay, so there's the close-up of our nice little project. Okay, I'm going to try showing you some different angles this week. Okay, so I'm going to just put it to a side for now. I do need to kind of keep referring to it because for size and things like that. Okay, so today I'm going to continue using the summer garden collection. Okay, so we're going to be going through, that's not a good angle, is it? Let me see. So we're going to be going through, I'm just using random bits. Obviously I'm not going to use absolutely everything out of the whole collection because it's huge. But I'm just going to say hello to everyone. So hi Kim from America. You're up early, lovely. Charlene, hello. Who else is there? Emma, hello. Right, that's it. I'm not going to do any more because I don't want it to get boring and laborious. So we are definitely going to use the birds and butterflies. And I've done stamps and dies, and then we've also got die cuts. I'm not sure what I'm going to actually use in terms of the bits. We've got the garden therapy. So let me just show you. So we've got a little fence in here. You're going to see as we go through. I'm just showing you these now because I won't be able to remember what bits come from what set, because as you can see there's lots of different elements. These are big A5 or 6x8 stamps, okay, and you get a lot in each set. And they're a decent size. You've got little ones and then you've got bigger ones as well. So these are really good scene build of stamps and dies. And then also on top of that, and I didn't actually get around to die cutting this one. I don't know whether I'll be able to use this one. But we've got the pots and plants. Sorry, I've just seen that. Hello, Doris. Diane, do you stock the storage? This storage, do you mean, Diane? Are you meaning these plastic wallets? Yes, we do. These are, look on the website for squirrel and vine storage, and this will come up. In fact, it might actually be on the front page of the website. It's got a whole section of its own. We've got the squirrel and vine storage, and then we also have, when I find them, don't know what I've done with mine. We also have these pockets too. These are in stock on the website. Stock up on these. These are really quite good as well. So these have got a little popper. They're quite good. Maybe not so much for, I mean, I like to put my chipboard in these because they're a bit bigger. Well, they're not actually, because the squirrel and vine large storage pockets are great. So these actually go into the storage boxes as well. Dice, not diesel. I wondered what the diesel meant. I was kind of like, I don't know what she's talking about. I think she's been on the booze already this morning. But yeah, basically, you've got the inserts for these. These are laminated. Okay, so you can actually stick your stamps onto these if you wanted to. Let's just do a little overview of the storage just before we get started, just to answer Diane's question. So you've got your pockets. These are in 2 sizes. Okay, so if you're in the States, in the US, I would say maybe go for the smaller ones because you're, let me just get my ruler. Can't remember exactly what the measurements are. I designed these with Angie. So we designed these as paper crafters because a lot of the storage out there is not necessary, is kind of designed for crafting all round, I find. And so everything's the wrong size. Everything's either too big or too small. So they're not specifically designed for stamps and dies. So this one is 9 inches high by 6 3/4 wide, which means that if you're in the States, your 6x8 stamps, which is basically the same as an A5 if you're in the UK, will fit in here. And you can see that there's space at the sides. What happens to all the other storage that I've ever found is that because generally, you know, they're not made for paper crafters specifically, they tend to make everything A5 or 6x8, and then you can't get these in because we need the thickness, or you want the packaging to sit in there as well. You know, I like to keep my packaging in so that I know what they are. And then you also have the dividers. Now, this is the wrong divider for this one. That's the divider. In fact, all of the ones I've got here are the wider ones. So we have a slightly narrower one. Is this a narrow one? There we go. Look, so you can see that's the narrower version. So this one is more for your A6 or your 4x6 stamps and dies, and that one is, we've not got many in stock, guys, so they've been so popular. That's 5 3/4 wide by, again, 9 inches high. So we made them the same height so that the boxes could be the same height as well, so they fit really nicely. Let me show you the boxes. I've actually got, let me just show you some of these. So you're gonna get, oops, okay. This is why we get sidetracked, don't we? But it's important because you're asking about them. So 2 sizes of boxes. This is the smaller one, I think. So this is how it's going to come to you, all nicely packaged. And basically, this is the lid. So it comes flat packed inside the lid in this box, okay? So it's all really, really sturdy. You have these clip studs on here. Now, these are mega, mega strong. And this is made out of really strong box board, okay? So it is a box. It is made out of cardboard, but really, really sturdy. And they had to be because we actually designed these and they were released in the US on HSN, and we've literally sold thousands and thousands of these in America. The only problem I have in the UK is that they're quite expensive for me to ship over here. Now, what happens is, so here's your lid, okay? So it comes flat packed in that. And then what happens is, let me just do this. Oh, can't remember how it all goes together. Bear with me. Anyway, basically, it comes flat packed like this. You get this little piece of foam. Now, keep that. There's a reason for that, okay? you can see how heavy duty these studs are here. Okay, so these are like poppers, and all you do is you pop these together. Now, you'll think, oh, you know, that's never going to work. Trust me, they do work. I've not had one come open yet, and mine are literally full. So you just pop them in, okay, and you can hear by how the echo of them snapping shut. They're just snaps, okay, but it takes a lot. I'm having to really force that to get that open. Trust me, they are plenty strong enough for what we need, okay? And that's how strong that box is, okay? So that box, even if you stack these, not really going anywhere. So we gave you the lid. Let me go to a different camera. Okay. Oops. So we gave you the lid, so you can put your lid on top if you want to, and if you want to then stack that, you can. Here we go. You can see better. So you can. Oh, where's my camera? So you can stack it if you want to, like this, and you can see how big it is. Look. So it's big. It's a big box. But the great thing is, we designed these as paper crafters. So these basically, so I wanted the lid because I wanted to do the option of stacking if I wanted to, but also if you don't want the lid, use it as the base, because that then makes it even stronger, and then you can stack it because you've got the extra base area to stack them on top if you wanted to stack them open as well. So we literally kept going backwards and forwards between us. It was quite good because having two crafters that have been paper crafting for like 25 years, we knew exactly what we wanted. We both craft slightly differently. Angie is really, really tidy. Her craft room is pristine. She has a nice big space. She has lots of shelves and lots of room to store. I don't. This is like my craft space pretty much. So we had different requirements, and so we kind of argued a bit about things. But for me, that was really good because it meant that we covered all the bases for every crafter and wanted to make sure that every single paper crafter, had the right storage for them and that it would work for everyone. So that's why there's two sizes. The great thing is we made, so you can have it that way, so you can have it wide if you want on your desk in front of you, or you can have it long ways, whichever way you do it. And this was the other thing we did. Bear with me. Look what we did. We made sure that you can, whether you're a scrapbooker or not, it fits 12 by 12. So you can put your 12 by 12 paper pads in here. And equally, the other way, you can put your 6 by 6 paper packs in here as well. So it's up to you how you want to use it. So that's the actual boxes. Okay, so remember it's two different sizes. Let me just get rid of these. I've got two different sets here, so just bear with me a sec while I just grab mine because they're quite heavy. So this is what I mean about them being strong. Look at how much stuff I've got in here. Now there's a good, and look, I've only half filled it. This is about 2 collections worth, and there's loads of dies in here and all stamps. And what I love is that then I can put things that are a bit too wide. If I've got like, these are 8 by 8 stencils, I put down the sides. I put my papers in there down the sides as well when I've got like an 8 by 8 paper pack. But look, honestly, this is so heavy. Look how nice and neat and tidy that is. Oh, that way, look. And then you can label all of your dividers. With the dividers, there's 2 sets. And the reason there's 2 sets is you have dividers that fit the pocket. So it'll sit inside the pocket and you've got a divider there. But then if you like to store by brand, say for instance, you want all your Polkadoodles products all in one set, but then you've got Crafter's Companion as well, then you have a bigger divider. So can you see, like, this divider here is, I must admit, I get mine a bit mixed up. But you see, like here, these ones stick right up. So this is like your section divider. So you've got, here we go. This is what I mean. You see there. So you've got a pocket divider there, and then this is a section divider, which is taller. So that's why there's two different sets of dividers. Because I get asked that a lot. Why are the two different dividers? And why do we need them? And that's why. So it just helps you to sort and everything else. But I cannot emphasize how much stuff you get in these. And out of all the, you can imagine how many products I've got and everything. My main stamp storage is in this shelf behind me, this wardrobe from IKEA. And I've got shelves and shelves of these, and all my stuff is in these. But having said that, I've still only got about 6 boxes, and I reckon you can get, I would say, knocking 100 stamps and dies. So together, 100 stamps and dies in total, I think you can get in each one of these boxes. They're amazing. They really are incredible. Now, we don't have a lot of the stock left. So, and I'm not sure if I can get any more, because I know we're really, really low on stock, because I bring them over from the US. Angie holds all the stock out there. So, I mean, if we've not got them, you could try on ldrscreative.com. But obviously you're going to have the shipping. But they are, you know, they are really weighty, so it takes us a lot of, costs us a lot to bring them in. The shipping is astronomical, as you know. But you know, just the boxes, even if you don't want the plastic pockets. And also the other thing I've got to say, let me put this back. The plastic pockets are not like standard pockets. So I've got to show you this, because these ones, look, these are quite flimsy and lightweight. These are not. So these are like made out of, look, you can tell the difference. These are really this is a lifetime pocket. This one, if you abuse it, this is why I only kind of put my die cuts in here and not my stamps. Because over time, doing this, you know, these are a lot cheaper. You know, over time, these ones are the ones where the snaps will pull off and stuff like that. Not that they're not good to buy, they are. But there's a reason why these are the price they are. We know that they're at a higher price point, and it's because we wanted you to buy them once and not have to, you know, continually be replacing them, or then you kind of, they break, and then you put like cheap ones in that then break again, and you continue, and then you get annoyed with it and you kind of fall out of love with your storage. This is a one-time only storage, this. So, you know, that's why. So thanks for asking. And the reason that I said about this, don't throw this away, what I would suggest, this is my little hack, top tip. I put this in the bottom of the box, and it actually stops when your box isn't full of stuff, it stops it all sliding around. You know how, like, you put your thing down and it just stops it from sliding about in the box. So leave that in. It's just a bit of packaging, but keep it and leave it in the bottom of your box, and you'll thank me for that little hack, because it's one of those things that's really irritating. Right, anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. So hello to everyone that's just joined. Loads of you online. Right, okay. So let's get back to what we were doing. So back to, we need to start making, you guys, honestly, you need to not distract me. I'll become a nightmare. So Shabby Chic Shed. So what I've done today, earlier on, is I've actually stamped and die cut a load of different elements. Okay, and I'm going to kind of just play around with what we're doing. So you can see here, I've just used multiples. I've got multiple stamps. They're all, the thing I love about this summer garden collection is there's things in different sizes. So one thing, I want to play around really with the, what's the word, composition of everything, to see where, what I'm going to put on and where and how. Let me zoom out of this a bit. I feel like I'm a bit close. Let's just zoom out. We can see a bit more. That's better. Okay. So we've got these lovely little fences here. And I was thinking about maybe kind of, I could almost put like a little picket fence around here. Now I've stamped these all onto watercolour card so that I can then, no, it's fine, Diane, don't worry. It's fine. No, thank you for asking. Everyone, it's just kind of everyone asks every week, so it's fine, don't worry. I'm just, I don't mind. It's just, I feel like sometimes we get sidetracked and then we end up with an hour and a half. And I know some people don't have that length of time, that's all. We've got these lovely little kind of ladders and things that we can use to decorate. And then we've got on the front here, or on the inside rather, I kind of want to decorate this. So I was thinking, right, how can I do this? And it's not ideal because obviously I've already assembled all of this now. So I think I was looking at it this morning, and if I have time, I'm going to decorate the inside of the door with the planks again. Okay, but only if we've got time, because I showed this last week. If you didn't see last week, the video is there on YouTube, so go back and see how I created all of this, you know, to make it this wood effect, because it is literally just cardstock and it's so easy to do. So anyway, so we've got like a little bike here. So this is from Birds and Butterflies. Let me just move that up. Let me just adjust my camera a bit. That's it, because I'm going to end up going off. I'm getting a bit of light reflection. So we've got our little bike. Then we've got here all the lovely little birds and branches. And what I thought would be really nice is, do you know what I'm going to do? Just bear with me. I'm going to just put the blind down a little, just to get rid of some of the shine on the, getting a bit of a reflection. It's either too dark or it's too bright. I don't know if that's, is that a little bit better? I don't know if it is, but anyway, it's just shining off there. So I just thought it'd be really pretty to put the birds down here. So we've got birds, and then there's actually some extra flowers. So it's like on a bird on a branch, and I just thought that was so pretty to kind of do that. And then we've got little kind of flower elements. We can build this all up. You know, you could maybe have your it's up to you, you know, like layers. We could maybe, you know, we could maybe have like a little shelf, a little outdoor kind of shelf thing, and then we could layer the bike. Actually, I want it that side because the door will interfere with that. But, you know, we could have the bike, we could build a little shelf there. There's so much we can do with this. A little, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. One thing I do definitely want is we've got some little Wellingtons, so we could have our wellies, and lots of little pots and things. And then the other thing that I was looking at as well, that I have die cut. So let me just, I ran out of time, so sorry this isn't prepped, but I was die cutting these earlier because I wanted these out of cardstock. So let me just, I'm just going to get my thingy. Where's my pokey? Okay, so I'm just using my wand, and then I'm just going to remove those. So let me just, I just stored everything on there. Okay, so we've got a little birdhouse, which is from the, this is In the Garden dies. Okay, still too bright, isn't it? Oh, look, hang on, I found out why. I think I must have pressed a button. That's better, you can see better now. Okay, so this is the In the Garden die set. We've also got here our little watering can. And all I'm doing, notice how I use my magnet ones. I hold all my dies with the magnets and then I just put them back. Oh, I've left something behind. I just put them back on, and I tend to just use them as a holder when I take my glasses off. Just pop that out, there you go. And I just use them to position everything, and I just find it so much easier. Okay, so look, they pretty much, the reason I do it is because using the wand actually helps you release the die cut as well. For some reason it sort of snaps it away from the actual paper. So, and I'm just not handling things as much, you know. I go on about, I'm quite honest when I say, you know, like I was never really a huge die cutting fan because I don't like handling the dies. So look, we've got all these little pieces. We've got our little flower there. And it just, you know, you're handling it on the wand rather than with your fingers. So you can just push all these little bits out. Obviously, sometimes it's a bit easier than others. And I've got little bits and pieces here. There's my main wheelbarrow. And it just enables me to pop everything out, okay, like this. I think I've lost a bit. There it is. Okay, so I think that's all of them. Put them away so I don't lose them. So again, your dies, the pockets fit your dies. We've got the die sheets. This is stuck onto here. But if I wanted to, I could also attach the stamps onto there as well. So I tend not to do that. I don't know why. I think it's just that I'm too lazy to take them all off the backing sheet, to be honest. But you can do that if you want to. And also, if you've got extra die cuts, then you've got some storage. So, you know, I just then stick them in there and it's all together. So let's glue these together because I'm not sure whether I'm going to use these or not yet. Okay. So I have my little wheelbarrow and my handle. And I always forget which way around this goes. It can go either way. So you can have, in fact, I think it does go that way. Yeah, that way. So it's going to sit like this. So I'm just going to put a little dab. Just take note of where the glue's going to hit. So kind of there and there, I think. Yeah. So just a little dab of glue there. That's our, and we've got here our wheels. So you can do what you want with your wheel, really. I'm going to just glue that on, I think, just for speed. And if you feel like that doesn't sort of stand out enough, let me just zoom. Let's get a bit closer. Okay, and then my wheel goes there. Okay, so it's one of those kind of fancy wheelbarrows. That's what my dad says. Oh, that's a bit fancy. Oh, look, it's tipping over a bit. I think I've maybe gone at a bit of an angle there on my thing, but never mind, it'll be fine. Okay, and then we'll just put that. In fact, I've just done that the wrong way around. That needs to go onto there. So just a little dab. Oh, sorry, I'm off the camera. I moved everything and I didn't move it back. There we go. I'm very bad at going off screen. Okay, so there's your little wheelbarrow, which is so cute. It's a bit of, like I say, it's a bit of a fancy one, isn't it? Let me just position that. There you go. And just set that aside just to dry. So that might be a bit small for our shed. I think it probably is. Maybe not. It depends. You could actually have that hanging on the inside, maybe, couldn't you? It's up to you how you want to decorate it, really. So, but I think it might be a little bit on the small side. So we have our bird house. So again, I'm just gonna, let's just attach these. And we've got a little flower here, which is, well, it's not actually, it's the center of the actual hole for the birds to go in. So just a little tiny bit of glue again in there. Need these tweezers. There we are. So tiny little hole, and then it's kind of the details that count. What have I done with the pen? So I'm just going to get my black pen here, and I'm just going to trace the inside, and we'll just add some shadow in there, basically. And it doesn't have to be solid black, but we're just going to literally add the shadow in. Now, there is here a little ledge. There's a little ledge here. And this bit also cuts separate, so you can change, I don't know what, I've lost mine, but you can change the colour of this if you want to as well. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, didn't get my inks out, my pen's out, so I'm going to use I'm going to use my inks just to colour, just so it's a bit easier, just saves a bit of time. So we'll get some water here, and let's, because we went all vintagey, let's just get a bit of ink. I'm going to try not to get it everywhere, so I'm going to first of all glue this on. So remember, if you just join in, enter win, and you could win a £20 voucher for the store, and also use code LIVE15 to get 15% off everything, that is, until tomorrow. Runs out at lunchtime tomorrow. So right, I'm gonna just add a little tiny little bit of shading to this whilst we're here, just to make it look a little bit more 3D. So obviously I'm not working on watercolour card, this is like my scrapbook card stock, but it's fine. I've managed to glue that down, but look how cute is that. And you see, just adding that bit of shade very, very easily, you know, but it completely transforms a board, you know, because die cuts are quite flat, aren't they? You know, like look here, you know, let me just get rid of that. So my spongy today is quite dry, you could hear it then, but I've been using it all day. So look, this is what I mean. This looks just very flat because it's just literally flat cardstock. But as soon as you just take a brush and just add that little bit of shade, and actually, you know, you can just take, very often, instead of using grey, use a brown, and you can, you know, kind of achieve quite a nice look with brown instead. It's a bit softer. So for instance, can I get any close? Not really, can't really get any closer than that. But I can just add a little bit of shadow in here, look. And it's a really, really easy way. And you don't even need a lot of ink. Look, it's very, very tiny, pale amount of ink here. Because I know you're not, I remember that you're all not amazing colorists or anything. You don't have to be. All you're doing is just defining, just add, just think about where that shadow is going to be. And by using the brown, this is vintage photo mute. Oh no, it isn't. It's actually walnut stain. I thought it was a bit darker than I thought. And then look, we've got a little tiny heart that's going to go onto, and I would have cut that in a different colour if I'm honest, but it's okay, it's fine. And then I don't know what that's. We've got the centre of our flower. I might use that on something else. So I'm not gonna get rid of it. Look, you could actually use that if you wanted to. You could put that in your wheel. That's quite cute, actually. I might do that. But, oops, where have I gone? There. So look, we could just use all your scraps. And that's what I've been cutting out today. I've kind of been using all scraps today. And look, just totally lifts it because now we've done 3 colours. But now, to actually make this match, and look, I need to poke my things out here. Poke my things out. Look, even the top of your little watering can, your little sprinkler bit. I'm a bit slow today, guys. I said to you last week, didn't I, about the migraine thing. I'm just always a bit slow and clumsy. Okay, let's stick that on there. So we've got our sprinkler on there. And then look, I want to just differentiate that as well. So let's just make the sprinkler bit have a little bit of shadow as well. And and then this one, the wheelbarrow, again, we kind of want to make that look like it all wants to match. You don't want things that are kind of shaded and things that aren't shaded because it'll kind of look a little bit weird. And just, even though it's not watercolour, just blend it out a bit. Just don't over wet it because it's not designed for that. Just get a bit more ink. And look, we can go around here. And look, we can make it look like it's got a bit of muck on it. Maybe. I should have got my Copics out really. But anyway. In fact, look, what we could do here. I was going to do a bit of splashing, but I might not. I don't want to spend all. But look. Just get your brush. And look, it now looks like it's been doing some gardening. Cool. And you can come back in and do a bit more if you want to later on. Don't really need to. I'm going to just do the handle. Look how different that looks. Cool. So, quite like that now. I just want to, where I've got my little thing here, I'm going to just add, look, let's just make that little heart stand out. And again, can you see what I'm doing? I wet the card and then I add the colour because it kind of makes me realise, if you wet first where you want the colour to go, then you kind of get it in the right, it's easier to get it in the right place. Understand what I mean? So look, now we've got 3 things that look completely different, and they're a lot more interesting, aren't they, than they were to just as like a flat piece of card. So let's see how they would then fit on here. So my birdhouse, I'd kind of like my birdhouse to go over here. and they're making it, they're going to stand, everything's going to stand out a bit more. So if you were going to put your wheelbarrow on, you know, you could do that. Your watering can's a bit bigger, so I think what I might not use my wheelbarrow. Okay, I'm going to put that to the side. But I do love the watering can, and it's a really nice size. So you could have your watering can just kind of sitting here. We could obviously have put a window into the shed as well, but we didn't. And then obviously we've then got all of our other bits and pieces which are all going to work too. So I definitely want to use the birds, and I definitely want to use this piece. And look how it's going to start to come together, isn't it? And maybe the bike as well, but I also want to do this, the middle. So I'm going to put these bits to a side, and we're going to do the inside first because I've got a bit of an idea for this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my ruler and get my glue out of the way. And you kind of need to make sure that things are what I would call in pro. And in pro means that everything is sized proportionately to everything else. So if we've got a ladder here, we, you know, like if we're going to use this watering can, which is quite big on the inside, you know, we can't, the eye knows what size a watering can should be. So this bit on the inside, I want to create depth so it goes into the shed. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm kind of going to create my eye line. Okay, I want to make an eye line. So what I mean by that is, let me see, how am I going to do this? Let's just get a bit of a scrap. Okay, so I've got some scrap card here. Now, probably, in fact, I've got a stencil. Bear with me. Bear with me. It'll be easier with a stencil. Just grab it. Oh, just had another idea. Aha, okay. In fact, I've had an even different idea. This will work even better. Yay. See, when you go digging in your stash, you always come out with something great, don't you? So, look, I've just found my switchable stencils. This is what these were made for, okay? So if you've not seen these before, basically switchables, this is an A5 or a 6x8 stencil, 5x7 stencil. And basically you've got all these other little stencils sitting inside. These come out, and basically what you're going to do then is use them. You can either use this as a template to plan your card out. So this one's full of squares and rectangles. Oh, look. It's almost like it was made for it, isn't it? And then what you can do is use the little stencils separately as masks as well. So I actually don't want the square one just yet. So there's a square and there's also a circles one as well. So the circle's exactly the same. Okay, so these, like I say, these are a stencil and a mask in one. So we could, look, oh, fits perfect. Almost perfect, not quite. Right, what I'm going to do, get a bit of scrap. That's not scrap, never mind. Okay, don't know where my masking sheet is, but anyway, never mind. I want to mask this off. So, because we're going to ink this and I don't want it everywhere. Remember to enter win, everyone. I can tell when you're not entering because I can't hear you. I can't hear all the little pings on the comments. Enter win to get a £20 voucher. Don't forget. Okay, so we've masked this off now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my walnut stain. And I don't know if this is going to work because, oh gosh, everything's not where I want it to go. I was looking for my black soot ink pad, wasn't I, last week, and I still haven't found it. I think I'm going to grab my normal, not the oxide, okay, I don't want the oxide. So I'm going to grab my normal Distress walnut. That's better because it's darker basically. So, because this, I used walnut on here last week, but the oxide has come back through, so it's actually not that dark anymore. So I'm going to go back over what I did. And I want it quite dark in here because it's the inside of a shed at the end of the day. So we want it to be quite dark. Now some of the oxidization might still come through. And what I might do is, let me actually run this ink pad over the top and get, oh that's better, look, get it nice and dark. Okay, and if you're worried about it, just blend it as you go. That's fine. Okay, that's better. Just wanted it nice and dark in there. Right, so I'm going to just keep this in place for now. So I'm going to, let me see. Now this is where your switchables are going to come in really, really handy. So I am going to use this and we're going to create some shelves. So I want the shelves inside the shed. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a black pen, and it just enables me to line up my shelves, look. Okay. And I think we'll just do 2 shelves. It just gives me a nice line. I could have done it with my ruler, to be fair, but oops. Okay. So we've got 2 shelves. Now what I want to do is we're going to get, I'm just going to cut another straight edge there, and another one, and we're going to just mask this off again. Oh look, that just worked perfect. Look, I've just done that, cut that exactly, how bizarre, I've just cut that exactly in between there and there, just by hand, by accident. Oops, just make sure that you don't, so keep that all in place because we're going to get all inky with it, and I really don't want that. In fact, I might put another bit of tape on there. So I'm just masking, I don't want that on. I'm masking off the bit that I don't want to be a shelf. So the background, okay? Because to be honest, it would have been quicker for me to just go and get me markers and do this. But anyway, never mind. Right, where's my ink pad? So, I'm just trying to think of how we're going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go crossways. So this is my normal walnut. Okay, and then what we'll do is, remember we use salvage patina to create some of the outside of the other side of the card. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this and I'm going to scrub across. So we're going to kind of create a bit of a wood grain, and then I'm going to just blend that through. Okay, just like that. And if we, in fact, it might be better to, yeah, maybe not. What we can do, let's just scrub that out a bit. That's better. Let's give it another go. If you're going, I was right the first time. I just need to scrub it side to side, and then that should give us a bit of wood grain. So if I remove that, not bad. And then let's do it on this one as well. So mask and mask, bit of ink, and then across, and just blend. So it looks like a mucky mess, but I'm not actually that mucky, look. So, you know, just this is why we masked it. So now we can take all of this off. There you go. And you've got your shells in the background. Like I say, you can come back to that maybe with a marker later on. It looks like it's going a bit wonky. But if you find that it's going a little bit wonky, you know, we can, let's just get a pen and let's just put some wood grain in. And to do a wood grain, let me see if I can get a bit closer in. So look, if you want to do proper wood grain, what you do is you kind of draw an oval like that and just scribble into it. Do like a swirl like that. Can you see that? And then all you do is you just drag some lines off your swirl. This pen's not the best. So okay. And just define that. You know what I mean? Actually looks like what is, my shelves are a little bit wonky, aren't they, I think. But anyway, never mind, it's fine. So now we've kind of got our shelf. Now it kind of just looks like it's two things just sitting there. So I've just thrown my blooming things away, never mind. Let me just get my mask back. So look, what I want to do here, see this bit? See how it's like floating? It just looks like you've done a line across and it's floating, and that's because you've got a light thing against a light thing. So we need to create shadow so it actually looks like there's a shelf at the back. But I don't want to do too much. And it just needs to be at the bottom here. I don't know if you're really seeing that. Just go steady with it. You don't want to go too mad because we're going to stamp into this as well. See what I mean? So now it actually has, just doing that has added, it's pushed it back. Do you see what I mean? So look, let's just do, in fact, I'm not going to because I want to stamp and I don't want to make it so that my stamp doesn't come out. We're going to come back and redo that. But you see what I mean? It's already pushed it right back, hasn't it? So it's kind of giving you that depth. Right, I'm getting in a mess already. Let me. Now, the other thing that you could do here that would work really well if you've got your switch balls. These stencils, if you don't have switch balls, you need them in your life because they're so useful. So look, another thing that you could do here, if you're, you know, you could highlight. So you could maybe just have a little highlight. This is good for kind of establishing where you want something to be, you know, so we could have inked around this. So for instance, we could have inked like that to create this little highlight here if you're not very good at actually placing things as well. But that actually looks quite 3D, doesn't it? So I'm going to just leave that. Oh, look what I've done. Oh, I've got to show you. Look. Look. What am I not using? You know what I'm not using, don't you? I'm not using this. If I'd have done that, that wouldn't have happened. Look, every week I do it. Every single week. And that's why all my stuff gets in a mess. Right. I've got glue on there as well. Right, okay. Anyway, right. So we've got our watering can. So actually now, if you look, this is what I mean about getting everything in proportion. So we could now you can start to kind of balance your elements. So what if you think about it, we were going to do, we've got our wellies. I want the wellies on the inside. So look, we could have our wellies in there. We've got so many different stamps that we can use. Oh gosh. Let me get some of these stamps. So for instance, we've got our little pots. Now the pots are kind of going to be too big for my shelves here. I haven't really left enough space for these. So what else have we got? Let me see. Where's all my stamps gone? Lost a set of stamps there, these ones. Okay, so this is all the dirt stamps. Okay, so this one, look, so we've got a pot there that would sit in there quite nicely, but we've got all our little tools. So I'm going to grab, oh cripes, I'm not going to do it on my stamping press, I'm just going to grab an acrylic block. Okay, so we've got our secateurs, we've got some little label things, seed packets. What else have we got? We've got our tools, scissors, these tools. We've got a shovel. Got all sorts in here. You've got another watering can here as well. Look, there's string and there's the gloves. That's what I was looking for. So we've got our little wellies sitting here. So obviously we want the door to close, so we're going to need to make sure everything's positioned in the right place. So let's get our gloves, and I'm going to use, thanks to whoever it was that reminded me last week about versifying clay being a little bit more juicy. So look, I've got, let me see, let's get things in position where they might work well. So we've got a thing of string. So let's see how we can position things. We've got some tools. They can go in there. We've got scissors. I think we'll have this. We've got there's things that can hang. We'll have the secateurs there. We've got some seed packets. I quite like the idea of having the seed packets in there, maybe. It's a big seed packet though, so maybe not, because that starts to go out of proportion. We've got our tools that could be hanging on the back of the door, look. So look, let's have, now I've got a rake, but the rake, well, maybe we could put the rake. Let's have the rake there as well. And then we can have, they're like the little, you know, the little plant tags. And then we could have the thing is, the scissors. Let's put them further down. Or they could be in there. Right, okay. So we've got things kind of in proportion of where we want it to be. Now, my gloves, I want my gloves on the door, I think. So I've got to be careful here because I'm stamping onto like layered cardstock here. So, God, look at the time. It's already been an hour. Sorry, guys. These things take such a long time. Okay, so let's stamp with our gloves. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay, let's just, there we go. I've managed to get some ink on, but never mind. So, our shovel, spade, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm going to stamp them first, and then let me get them out of the way. So just remember, I'm on an uneven surface here. It's all right. You see, we've got like extra bits of ink. Don't worry about it. We can fix that. It's not going to be a problem. Where's my things gone? I've just lost all my stamps. There we go. So my block's a little tiny bit too small, but it should be all right. Now I want to just gonna grab these and just put them under there, and that might help me have an even surface. So I need that in there, and I'm going to try and keep everything in a straight line here, roughly. There we go. My stamping's not perfect. I'm not going to sweat over it right now. It's just about kind of sharing with you what else you can do to this to kind of make it come alive. Okay, so we've got this little evil looking fork thing. I've got one of them actually. I don't know what it's called, but it is quite evil. I almost stand on it on a regular basis. Right, what else were we doing? We've got our little, oh, we want the scissors hanging, don't we? So think about your scissors. So your scissors are going to hang at an angle. Yeah. So now what we need to do is what are these going to hang on? So look, we're going to just create a little nail for them to go in. Or a big nail. And so all I'm doing, just draw a line and just draw, and you do the same with your gloves. You see what I mean? So they're all just hanging on a nail. So it's just literally a line with a little oval on the top. Don't do it as a circle, do it as an oval, and it just looks a bit better. Now, I know I said about doing the inside of the door to match, but obviously I'm not going to do that. But what we can do, we can sort of simulate that. So I'm going to get my pen, and I'm just going to roughly come down, and I'm not drawing a straight line here. I don't want it to be straight. What I actually want is just to give it the effect that it's a plank of wood, okay? And I'm actually using a textured cardstock, which makes this a bit easier. So now I can drag, so like, you remember last week, the way we were dragging the ink? Well, look now, just get your pen. So this is just a fine liner, just a cheap one. It's not anything flash. And just literally drag your pen up, just roughly. And if you want to practice putting your knots in again, you can do. So you might be able to see me do it a little bit easy. So the way I do a knot is I just do like a swirl and then drag my pen down and up, and you don't want to overdo it, just lightly. You know, you don't need to be an artist, but look, and you're just dragging your pen through this cardstock. And like I say, because this is like a basil, it's got like a texture, so it's actually leading my pen into like quite straight lines, but I'm not doing anything amazing. Now if we go back and get our mask again, oh, Nikky, I really didn't want to do that with my VersaFine Clair. Look, God, I'm lethal. I wanted to do it with my Distress ink. So now I've got black ink on my brush. It's okay. We'll get rid of it. Don't worry. Oh, look, I've got it on there now. So let's just a tiny touch. We don't want a lot of ink on this door. Just a tiny touch. Okay. And then just go over each plank, but just make sure you're not up at that end. So what we're trying to do is just create a bit of definition. And yeah, you know, you can get, we've got a wood grain stencil, but I think the wood grain's probably a little bit big for this project. And I just wanted to show you how you can kind of not always, you can make things yourself as well. You know, you don't always just have to follow those things. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to come back and do the other side of that grain. Okay. So, and actually it'd be easier to come down, because I'll get a better blend. But I'm not going over, see what I mean? So I'm not going over the stamps if I can help it. It's up to you how much you want to do at the end of the day. Like I said last week, I'm a detail person. I love creating things like this that have so much detail that it gives someone, you know, like a lot to look at, and you're kind of looking and going, wow, you know, oh, look at that, I didn't see that the first time. And it's one of those things that each time you look at, you kind of see something different. And then what I want, I'm going to put my ink pad away, and then this time I'm going to get my, in fact, I'm going to go to my little detail brushes. These aren't back in stock yet, but they will be coming. So look, just again, same colour as we had on here on the main shed. Just drag that in a little bit. You don't need a lot. It just adds a little bit of colour. And again, I'm going around where my stamps are. And again, look how real that wood actually is. And I don't mind that it's a different colour to the outside, but I am just gonna drag that white ink pad again. So I'm doing this before I colour my stamp, because I don't want to do all that colouring and then, you know, have to go back over it again. Now, where's my... Oops. Right, for the first time, I'm going to use my detail brush. Now, we're out of stock of these at the minute, but they are on order, so we'll get them in as soon as we can. I'm hoping it's by the end of July. So, this is a really juicy white ink pad. So, this one is from Tony Darroch. So, this is Stamps by me, but I know Lisa Horton's got one as well. So, look, we're going to do, remember how we did this last week? So, to get our little shabby chic effect, and you kind of need to drag it from the edges. And I'm just going to leave that at the top. Just hold that up at the top, and then it's going to, and it just helps to pull it. Now, I have to say that when I picked this up, this project today, and looked at it, all of the ink on here, the white, it does actually dry lighter. So don't worry about putting a lot on. So yeah, sorry guys, I know I've gone on a bit. We're already up to it. I didn't even think I'd take an hour today. I thought, oh yeah, it'll be quite quick to actually get it through. I think we spent a bit of time with the storage, didn't we, beginning? But yeah, just catch up. It'll all be on replay on YouTube anyway. Right, so don't worry too much about doing this too white, because it pales, you know, it kind of fades back a bit. So that's fine. Right, I'm going to speed up a little bit now. So let's get these tools. We want these to be stamped in. And I'm just going to get on and get decorating. Don't apologise if you need to leave, that's fine. You know, it's no problem. I just really wanted this to be a nice project that we didn't kind of rush. Okay, so I am going to stamp my secateurs in there. And I'm just, bear with me, because I'm trying to tidy up as I go, which makes me a little bit slower. Okay, we've got our little plant tag things, and we're going to have them hanging in there as well. We'll make another little hook for those. We've got our string as well. So our string, let's put the string that way around. And let's not make this, let's make it so the strings, you know, kind of not, oh, Nikky! Do you know what I've done? Look, I inked the back of my stamp. This is why I don't like doing things when I've got a migraine. Pockets, not pickets. I don't know what that is. Right, okay, we're gonna get around that, guys. Okay. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get that again. So I inked my stamp on the wrong side. So here's a little hack for you. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it again, and this is why you need a white ink pad. I'm gonna do it in white, and I'm gonna go back over that. I don't know whether it'll work. We'll see. Maybe it will. Okay. Let me just clean that off. It's not going to stick. This is how you get out of things and don't have to redo things. Okay, now, oh no, it's not going to work because now I'm on a reverse. Right, what I'm going to do, look, now when I go to stamp, my stamp's reversed because I went on the back. Don't worry though, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to not ink the tail of the string. So I'm going to just ink them in bit. Okay, it's a bit of a mess. But anyway, to get out of that, we could stamp and die cut it anyway and actually put it on. So let's do that at the end. Let's not worry about that too much. Right. I've got my... We'll come back from it. It's fine, don't worry. I've got my fork in there. Nothing's ever a disaster. Well, sometimes it is. When you stamp on the back of your stamp, it's not great, is it? Right, mate, I'm going to put my little shovel thing the other way up, just to make it a bit interesting. So yeah, that didn't work. It might work if I'd let it die back, but we'll see. We'll make a bit of a shadow thing going on. Right, I'm not going to use the seed packets. They're a bit big. And we've already put the gloves in there anyway, so we're not going to use them either. Right, so, and we've obviously got our wellies that are going to go down here anyway. And we've got this. So, this is all going to... Let me get that flipping ink pad out of the way. It's lucky I didn't swear. I normally would have. Okay, right. We can hide it with other things, can't we? You know what we could do? Look. We've got our die cuts. So look, this is what we're going to do. Oh, look. We're going to put a stack of... We'll do a stack of pots. So I'm going to cut the top off these pots here. And then we'll hide it. Maybe it's might be one pot too many. I'm going to just cut that one out, which is fine. Let's go. Oh no, I didn't go far enough now. Oh, it's all going wrong. Okay, let's do that. Let's just glue that in place. I don't care when things go wrong because it shows you how to get out of it, doesn't it? So, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. Do you know, I always remember Dean Wilson saying to me once, oh, you always apologise for doing something wrong and you shouldn't. You know, it's nobody even notices. And I said, well, yeah, but I like people to know how to fix it when it goes wrong. You know, and I was a little bit annoyed. I just thought, well, you know. Anyway, right, so let's glue these bits down. So we're going to have wellies in front. Big wellies, aren't they? So wellies there. I'm going to actually put this next one on a foam pad just to bring it to the front a little bit. You can spot the whoopsies, yeah. You're not stupid. You know when we've done a mistake. I've just created a new technique. Yeah, new technique of how to hide things. Okay. Right, okay. So let's just quickly get these coloured then in somehow. So let me get me green. So just let's make some... Oh, how am I on that ink? Did I press that? Oh, my camera's gone. Okay. I think my battery's run out. Sorry, guys. Didn't even notice that. How long's that been off? Right, okay. So let's have some nice green wellies. Now, what we will do here, and not with that, we'll have a bit of vintage photo because I don't want everything to be, you know, we've gone quite shabby chic. And so I don't want everything to be now really bright colours. So we need to kind of get the colour right in what we're doing. So, and we want things to look like, oh, let me zoom, I can zoom in on, oh, I can't. Oh, how annoying. Right, okay. I think that's the closest I can get now on the camera. Sorry. It's a lesson not to ramble on too much, Nikki. Okay, so let's just get some colour on here. And actually I will get my walnut stain back out again, because it's just a nice dark colour. So the walnut stain I'm just putting on. Oh, that's pants now that I can't get. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of shading under the rims of these pots, just to kind of add the shadows, and on the insides there. Okay, I'll try and do it that way. If you just bear with me, let me just see. I do have another. I have another battery, but I don't think it's charged. I don't know. It might not work. Bear with me. Let's see. Because it'd be a shame for us to lose it right at the end. Let's see what happens. Yay! There we go. I don't know how long this battery. Don't know how long this battery is going to last, but we'll try anyway. Right. Okay, that's better than nothing, isn't it? So I cut these out of stamped and cut these onto watercolour card, so I can just literally blend these now. So let's have some green on the wellies, and I want the wellies to look like they're all mucky, so let's get some muck going on again. And then let's get a bit of, we'll use a bit of dried marigold for the pots, just to add a nice bit of terracotta. So I am rushing a bit now. Didn't realise the time. Like I say, if you need, you know, if you can't watch, you can always, I always post, well, they're on YouTube anyway, but I'll always post a link back out to these. So that's quite nice on the marigold there. And then let's get our shovels and things done. So our garden things are all, these are quite pale. You know, I would go, I think, let me try something first. Okay, so these are all like very faded out, aren't they? So I've got my walnut stain here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and bring these out a bit more. Let's create a shadow on the shed door. Let's make these stand out. Don't know if it's going to work, but we'll try. So I'm just literally painting a shadow around each one. Can you see how that's making that stand out? And then what we'll do is, because really I kind of need to do these with my markers, I think, make them stand out a bit. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I love painting with distress inks as well. They're so forgiving. It's such a, you know, they're so soft. Where's my walnut again? And doing it with you know, like I said before, top tip, do it with walnut stain or vintage photo. If you want it a bit darker, walnut stain. If not, go vintage photo. Okay. And obviously, I'm not on watercolor card here either, so you know and I'm using the distress inks, not oxides. I'm not painting with the oxides today, but you could do if you wanted to. And if you want it a bit darker, try going back over. But we're just wanting to just create that, bring those elements out from the wood, which I think we've actually done there. How cool is that? It actually looks quite good on screen. It looks as good on screen as it actually does in front of me. So I am going to just grab a couple of markers because this is bugging me. Excuse me. Let's see what we've got here. I've just grabbed the first things I've got. Which turns out to just be a couple of colours I quite like with my Copics. And nicely, my Zig Clean colours. These are just literally what was to hand. So look, this is going to be better. Perfect colour. Yay. So we'll do the handles. That's better. So we've got the gloves. I'm going to use this kind of like a, what colour is this? It's like yellow green. And let's just, you know, it doesn't need to be too fancy, see, you can just, 2 colours and that's completely transformed that, hasn't it? But look how 3D this looks. It looks great. And actually, I'm going to put a bit of that in there as well. And maybe we go a little bit greener in here because it is, at the end of the day, this is the clean colours, which if you work really fast, you can actually blend these out. So these wellies all look quite mucky now. And also I've got a bit of an orange in here as well. So look, this will just help. Don't want a lot on there. Oops. Got more on my hand than I did on the thing. But again, just blend that out. And it's starting to come to life. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this colour, which is Persian green. Okay, and we've got all these bits in here, all our extra little tools. Now these are all kind of in the shadow of the shed. So these don't need to be the same kind of like colour, if you like. So it doesn't matter, you know, because they're all going to change colour anyway. So you kind of want quite dark colours to make these stand out. So these are just going to be like things that are sitting in the back of the shed. So I'm going to use that green, that light green that I've just used. And I'm just literally colouring these in because you can't really see them anyway. They're just sitting there in the back. And everything's like coming forward all of the time. So what I want to do finally, I think we just need to get some extra bits and pieces. So we've got our little bird things, our birds. Oops. So let's just shove that to a side for a second. So it's good that I've got these out actually, because now, right, get this out. Got just a few little bits to pop out. I think that one's, use that one, it's stamped a little bit better. Okay, so now these are, again, these are on watercolour cardstock. So I'm just gonna put some water onto the leaves. So anywhere where there's some leaves, just a tiny bit of water. Now I'm gonna do this from here, so because it's quite a bright colour. And you know, one of my biggest tips to you when you're watercolouring is don't only use one colour. So look, we've used this browny green colour that I made before, and I'm going to come back in because now this will all combine together. When you just use one flat colour, that's when things don't look normal, because in nature things aren't one flat colour. Well, you might do, you might get something, but generally when you colour in, you need to mix your colours, okay? So we've got a, I bet I haven't got a brown in there. No, I haven't. So what I'm going to do is, oh no, what's that colour? Oh, I've got a dark bark Copic here. Okay, that was a coincidence. So let's get our Copic just to create the branches. I'm not even looking at my screen. I don't even know if anybody's still with me. Don't forget, I'm going to draw the winner. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, guys. Oh, that looks so pretty. And you know what? I think I'm liking the colours on that. I think that's actually quite nice, keeping that white. But to keep it white, we just need to do something else. So this is that yellow green again. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to do tiny, that's too much. I'm going to just do a hint of that yellow green just in the centre, oops, of those flowers. Okay. Now I've got another set of flowers here that matches, so let's do that as well. So back in with my brown for my branches. Back in with the same colours for the leaves again. See, the good thing about watching this on, obviously I want you to join me live, but obviously the good thing about watching it on YouTube is you can fast forward past me, can't you? And then again, just that little bit of greeny yellow just in the centres. You just, when you're using the zig clean colours, you just need to work quite fast, even on watercolour card. And all I do is I just, if I've got a bit too much ink on, I just dab it like that. Okay, so I'm just going to clean that up because I'm going to get that all over everything if I'm not careful. And then my birdie, let's see, what colour can my birdie needs to be a nice blue bird. I have a thing about bluebirds. So I'm going to just use Salvage Patina. And actually, I think I have got the other blue in here. Got that teal, Persian green. I'm going to just do, just to define him a little bit. And I've got a tiny little bit of pink. Sorry, I realise you can't see him or her. And she's going to go a bit purpley now. So our birdie is going to sit there, and we're going to have an extended, in fact, maybe we do that instead. Quite like that. I think that positioning is quite nice, isn't it? That works quite well. So let me just zoom out a little bit. Can't believe it's taken all this time just to do that bit. So let's get that glued into place. And I love this stamp. I think it's gorgeous. It's actually my favourite stamp in the whole set of that. And that's from that's on the birds and butterflies. So just stick that down. We've got our little watering can now. Excuse me. So one thing I didn't use was like my ladder. So I think I might put, I don't know, put my ladder there. So let's get, now with my ladder, what I am going to do, because you mix your markers. So I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow. Zoom in again a bit for you. So a little bit of shadow under there, and then, so that's with my Copic, and it's because it's just what I've got on my table, okay? And then we're gonna watercolor the rest. So, you know, if you find that you've not got the right colors, just use something else. Doesn't matter. And what I love about watercolors though is just how quick and easy they are. So grab a little bit of glue here. So we'll put, now we've got our thingy here. We've also got here a plant there. And what I could do is, let's use this as trellis up here. So we could use that as a bit of trellis. So just, you can see I'm not actually using many colours. So, and that's what makes it cohesive, is that you don't use too many colours all at once. So again, even where I colour this now, come back in with that same mix that I've been using, the green and the thingy colour, vintage photo and walnut. So again, do your, in fact, where's that pink? It'd be nice to have some little pink flowers on this one. It's actually, oh gosh, that's bright. Okay, so I'm going to just blend that out because everything's muted. It's going to look weird if I have really bright colours. Okay, and if you find that it's still too bright, whilst it's still wet, just get your finger on it and just dab it off, okay, and it knocks it all back. It kind of makes, now, you know, here I kind of was a little bit about my heart in there, so let's just make that stand out a little bit. The good thing with your clean colours is you can actually put paint off the marker onto your brush, because this isn't, obviously, this is not a watercolour cardstock now. So look. So let's make that a little bit more interesting, that watering can. We can make the handle stand out a little bit better, you see what I mean? So we'll have our watering can there, and we'll have our flowers there. Let's get them. If I don't glue them down, we'll be here all day. Let's get a bit of dimension. So it's turned into a bit of an epic again, hasn't it? I think it's worth it though. There's just some projects that are just worth spending a bit of time on, aren't they? And, you know, I think as well that it's nice to, you know, this is like a project for you to make. It's like a really creative project that, you know, you can get the satisfaction out of making. It's not only, you're not making it necessarily for someone else. Well, you are making it for someone else if that's what you want, but it's about you. Look, I'm going to make that a bit mucky again at the bottom, and it just all ties it in there, look, because it'll all make it. See how it's like made it all grounded in here? So cut like here where we've got, sorry, I'm not showing you. So where we've got the die cuts here, don't leave that white edge on the bottom. So just colour that white border. Don't go around the whole thing, because you kind of do need a little bit of definition. You know, it's nice to have it standing out against there, but you see how it's like grounded the whole thing there, and now it's not, it doesn't look like things are stuck on, if you know what I mean. So, and you could actually do that. In fact, look, let me do that whilst I think about it. On the bottom of the door here. So let's just ink the bottom of that door. See what I mean? And if you want to, you could just, because I've used my distress ink there, I could flood that up, but just be aware of it, because we've, in fact, what I might do, quite tempted to run down. No, I'm not going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. I was quite tempted to run down my planks here with my Copic, because I've got that dark brown, but I don't want to. You see here, like there now, it's just all kind of merged in together, which is what you want. So the final thing, I think, is going to be this. So, in fact, with these, this would look nice if you actually did 2 sets almost. Whoops. Look, if you really wanted to, you could do 2 sets. So you can make this like, it could be like a window box, couldn't it, if you wanted? But you could cut these off and make it into a window box even. So you could put them there and have it. In fact, I quite like it like that. And that actually enables me to do one last thing, which was something that I did want to do. So back to, again, our brown. I think for the, or maybe not. Let's not go brown for this bit. Let's make that white. Okay. So I'm gonna, this time we've got our soil here, and I'm gonna actually colour all of the soil. So I'm gonna go into the border of the die cut, and then I'm gonna just trace along. I've kind of given you the wood effect there, so we'll just trace into that. And what I might do is just put a tiny little bit of that marigold just to knock that back so it's not really stark. And then again, let's get that, yeah, you see, let's go in. I really appreciate you all staying with me, guys. I realise it's gone on a bit longer than anticipated. Chris will be moaning at me going, oh, you're boring everyone to death. So I'm sorry if I have. Okay. So again, let's just add a little tiny bit of pink so the flowers match these flowers. Tiny, tiny bit. And I'm going to just so we get a little bit of colour in there. And just that, like I say, just dab that. That's all you need to do. So we will put a bit of 3D foam behind that, just so it sits off. Gives us a bit of dimension. And I'm going to place that there. So I'm going to stick it onto there so I don't get it in the wrong way. Now when the door comes back, you need to be careful not to kind of encroach on that. So I'm just going to make sure it matches up to the door there. Okay. And then I've got a couple of little tiny things I want to add. So in the stamps and dies, these are so cute. This is why I wanted to add these in. We've got some little vegetables that are growing. So I've got my brown. So I've got a little bit of soil here. And we've got, I don't know what these veggies are. They can be almost anything. There's some carrots there. So again, I'm taking away the white of that die cut. So let's add some green for the leaves. Have you all entered win? Because I'm nearly done. So I'll be choosing in a minute. Make sure you've entered win. So let's get some, the carrots need to be a bit greener on the leaves. And we'll put a little bit of green in here. We've got our orange all ready for the carrots. Chris is coming. I can hear Chris coming. He's coming to say, Owl, are you going to be all afternoon? I'm going to say, yeah, I am actually. Right, what are these veggies here? Let's see. I don't know what these are. We need, they can be something purple. Like a radish. In fact, actually, let's have a radish. So a bit of pink. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay. Right, I'm just about done. So what I want to do here, so we're going to, let me, where's my spongy? Get rid of that. Okay, so I want to put my veggies here and maybe one there as well, so we can have one coming up out of the ground here. So what I want to do, I'm going to just take that dark brown Copic in there and let's actually make some soil here. And what we'll do is you need to kind of take that all the way across the other side then. Okay. So now we've actually got our earth that we can just glue these into. Okay, and I'm going to give you another little tip with that. So plant them just at a slight angle. And we've got some carrots here. And I'm just going to put them there on the top. Okay, now, oops. Okay, so you've got your veg, and then let's just make that all matching. So we don't want it to be like really obvious again that they're just stuck on the top. So let's just glue all of that in and just colour over the top of that again. See? And you can hardly see it. And then we'll just do that again on this side, so we've got some carrots growing over this side as well. And then I've got one last thing. In fact, I'm going to do that on the edge there. So And then one last thing we need to do, get all this out of the way, is, and this is one last pro. So we've been using all the summer garden. Now let me just zoom out a bit. Okay, so, oh, so cute, honestly, it's so lovely. So we've been using all the summer garden collection, and just in case you haven't seen these, what I'm going to use, I just want to put a sentiment on. So we've got the Perfectly Perfect sentiments. So this is an A6 stamp, so this is one single stamp. Okay, you've got 4 little registration marks in the corner that are like a little black dot. So stamp this out with your stamp platform, and basically you've got a die, and it's one die that's going to cut the whole entire stamp set out. Okay, and you've got 18 greetings here. So you've got "You're amazing just the way you are," "Wishing you a wonderful day," "You're perfectly imperfect," "Love you," "You're one of a kind," "Just because." Just lots of really nice generic sentiments. Now, when you actually, so I was doing this earlier, so you just stamp it out in one big block, and all you do is you put the die over the 4 dots, and it registers it all, and you can line it all up. Okay, so really, really easy to use. I keep saying I've got downloads to come with that as well, and I have, but I just keep forgetting to do them. Now, I did cut a load out, and I forgot what, oh, here they are. Okay, now I've got to show you one little thing as well with that. So when you, let me just, I need to clean, sorry, just let me, my sponge is about dried out because it's warm in here. Okay, let's get my cloth a bit wetter. Okay, right, oh, nearly knocked water over again, guys, nearly. Okay, let me go over to this camera. Oops, we've knocked it. Why is it gone? There we go. Okay, so isn't that cute? How pretty, how lovely, isn't it cute? But look down here, you can only really see that I've stuck those on close up. You could always go back, but how nice is this? And look how much depth is in there. You actually want to put your hand inside that, don't you, when you actually look at it? And it's like that in real life as well. It actually looks more 3D on camera, but isn't that cute? Isn't that just so lovely and cute? And do you know what? I had another little idea as well, because you kind of need a little handle on there. But anyway, what was I going to say? So on those stamps and dies, don't throw this away. This makes a great stencil for a wall or something, you know, like bricks. So don't throw that away. I keep all of that. Anyway, so these are the sentiments, and these are quite small, but they're just a nice size for your projects. Okay, so they're not too big. You know, sometimes I find that sentiments just take over, and whilst I always like, I mean, some of these are quite small, the text is quite small, but it's "Hope your day is as special as you." Sometimes you need something small. "You're perfectly imperfect." All sorts of these lovely things. So you've got "Happy birthday," "You're just everything," "You're amazing just the way you are." You know, this one, it would be nice if you just tucked it under there like that. You could do that. But, you know, you can, some of these you can actually layer as well. I mean, I've actually cut several of these. So you've got "Just because," "Love you." So you could go "Love you," "You're amazing just the way you are," and you can actually stack these. Now, I think I like this one, "Sending sunny thoughts to brighten your day." I think that's Mr. Amazon. You'll have to wait. Right, where's my, not walnut stain, where's my vintage photo? There. So, you'll leave it anyway, don't worry. So, all I want to do, I don't want this white on here. Well, it would probably look okay, but it's going to look better if I just distress this slightly. So I'm just going to run, I'm going to make this quite wet, and then let's just run a bit of that over the top and just blend that out a bit. This is just normal paper though, cardstock, so I will need to be careful not to over wet that. Okay, and then we can actually put that, in fact what I'm going to do, just want it a little bit darker on the edge, so let's just, sorry I keep going off, let's just ink the edge. And because it's wet, it's taking the ink quite well, that one. So if I can blend that a little bit out, I don't want to do too much there, that's fine. Okay, so now we can attach that. Got a little bit of a foam pad still left onto our door. So you could have it here. I quite like the idea of having it up here, so I'm going to put mine there. And then just one little thing that I thought of that would work really, really well. Okay, you know, do you remember our little plant tags? Okay, I am going to just, I've got a little bit of cardstock here. So I'm just going to stamp these just by hand on here. I'm just going to use my water actually. Oh no, it's not going to work. A little, get me vintage photo again. Just literally colorizing it. You don't need anything else. Okay, I'm going to just snip that out. Oh, got my wand attached to my scissors. And there is a die for these, so you can die cut this, but just for this I'm just going to do it by hand. To be honest, it's quicker. Okay. Now, I've got a bit of a thing that I can't leave the inside bits, so I am just going to get my knife and I want to just snip that away because it's a nice easy shape. It's just a triangle and it just makes it look so much better if you hand cut in. And look, this would just make an adorable little handle for the shed door. So, sorry, it just had to be done. Okay, so you can just put that on there. Actually, I want it a little bit. See, I'm a faffer. I have to go back in and just, you know, something's not quite right. I just have to go back in and just. I just want a little bit of shade in there. And that little handle. And that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. I could have, if I wanted, I really could kind of carry on with this and do a bit more, but I'm not going to. We're already on, oh my gosh, 2 hours. 2 hours. How is it taking 2 hours to do this? Cute. Cute. Could be books as well as a wall. Yes, it could. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Another little thing just that I would do personally, you see, it's bugging me a little bit. Okay, so vintage photo again. Another little thing I would do, just run that under there. You just need the faintest little shadows and they make so much difference. Actually, the vintage, the walnut stain would be better there. Could you see? It's made such a difference just on that door there. And actually, that was another thing that I was going to do is, right, okay, if you really, really want to make this nice, look, this is another thing I was going to do. Just run, that's walnut stain, and just, oh, don't do that. See, this is what happens. I end up messing it up. But you could just run your paintbrush and just under there. Honestly, in real life, this actually looks amazing. You'll see when I post, I'll post the actual photo so you can see the close-up. I hope you're all going to make this because it does look fantastic. It really does. Even if I do say so myself, but I've kind of made it for you. It wasn't for me, it was for you guys. But can you see the difference on the door? Just putting that little bit of shadow in there. Because if you remember on the back, we did, didn't we? We actually did this really quite dark. And I didn't do that behind the door. So, you know, you can just in these. So just do it in there, in those cracks. You know, don't have to be perfect. But, you know, you could go back in, you could get your detail brush in, you could go back in and distress it a bit more if you wanted. But I just think that's so, so pretty. And if I was honest, what I would do, and I might do it when I've finished, I'd go back under here and just take like this. See, like under here. I'll get a bit more. But you've got to be careful because we're not on watercolour card. But nice, lots of water. Because the cardstock is actually really soaking it in quite nicely. Honestly, I'm not doing any more now. But just create that shadow under there. In fact, I've gone too far under, you can't even see it. And you could then, where those flowers are, you could just blend that out. Because it's drying back quite well. Because remember, we're using like a water-based product here. So, see what I mean? See like the shadow under there? That makes this stand out now. Because the background's quite pale and then your flowers are quite pale on there as well. And like I said, just blend that out a bit more if you've not blended it in. Or go in, like I say, go in with your distress thing inside it. So one last look, and then I'm going to draw the winner, okay? How fab. And a nice little sentiment. You could have a little sentiment on there, couldn't you? Just sitting there. But isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? Lovely. So, sorry it's taken 2 hours. Thank you for joining me for 2 hours, if there's anybody left. Right. Okay. Who is still with me? And who is going to win? So, I am going to just randomly select Sweet Bee Creative Studio. Hello. Right, okay, who have we got here? Let me see. Lots of wins, gosh, lots of comments. Charlene Tyra, you are the winner of our £20 store voucher. So can you email me at Website at polkadoodles.co.uk to claim that, please. So well done, Charlene Tyra. I'm going to write your name down so I don't forget. Where are we? A little scrap of paper. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I really appreciate you sticking with me for 2 whole hours. Wow. I think that's why my camera went off. It gave up the ghost. I had no idea we were on 2 hours. I wasn't even looking at the screen for so long. So, just to show you it more in real life, there we go. I will post a proper photo for this so that you can see it both inside and out. Just love how 3D that looks on the inside. It's just come out so well. So that is, so we used a selection of different things from Summer Garden collection. So head there. Remember, Live 15 gets you 15% off that collection until lunchtime tomorrow. I do it lunchtime to allow for anyone that's in the States. They've got that extra sort of 8-hour period. But thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go back through the comments. I think I've answered everything that I think was important. I see lots of you been buying the stationery, so thank you for that as well. You're going to absolutely love it. And I hope that we can bring you some more stationery soon. We've got lots of MDF things that we're going to be bringing you stationery-wise for your craft room and things. In fact, before the just literally as we were going live, I was just actually coming up with an idea. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you to all of you that are regulars. I do notice you, Jacqueline and Diane and Chrissy, Carol, Debbie. Thanks so much for joining me yet again, Terry. Really appreciate it. B&D Crafts and more. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. And thanks to all of you that don't comment. I know there's lots of people watching that don't comment, but I can see you all there, so thank you. If you want to replay it, head over to YouTube. Just look for Polkadoodles on YouTube and we'll come up, because it'll all get stored there, and I'll email out a replay anyway for everybody. So thank you. Right, I'm going to go and get a drink of water. I don't know how I'm not a horse by now. So Charlene, remember, just email me, website at polkadoodles.co.uk, and we'll sort you out with a store credit if you've got a store credit or a gift voucher. I will be back next Sunday. We won't do a Mammoth 2-hour session next week, but I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And if you only saw this part and not the first part, go to YouTube, because last week's live was all about creating the shed itself and how I did that and made that wood effect, which was quite cool, I have to say. So head over and enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Thank you. I will see you very soon. Okay, bye-bye.